Now, I appreciate that many of those people who follow this channel are from the different sides of the political divide. Yeah, we have people on both sides of the political divide. That one I fully appreciate. Okay, and that is why I need to say that one of the greatest hindrances of being able to look at something logically and without bias is something called emotions. Yeah, when you're already supporting one particular side, it's natural, it's human nature. You'll try and look for everything, any excuse to be able to dismiss the information that you get. The situation has not been helped by propaganda peddlers. There's a very large infestation of propaganda peddlers in Kenya at the moment. And of course, if you're emotionally involved, you eat on everything they supply to you. Yeah, people are hungry for good news about their side. Yeah, whatever the situation. So I understand that. That's human nature. However, today we're going to look at cold facts. And that is why I needed to make my excuses early, because this recording is not going to be good for Jubilee people who are filled with emotion. I'm going to stick to the facts, figures. Figures don't lie. And I know that it'll be difficult for them, okay? But if you're a Jubilee supporter and you want to know the truth, you want to see actual figures, you're very welcome. Now, I also appreciate the fact that most of us are not good in mathematics in school. A lot of us, whenever we saw figures, would start getting a headache, okay? Of course, that is unless the figures involve money coming to you. Yeah, then you pay a lot of attention. Yeah, others figures are just, gosh, they confuse a lot of people. So for that purpose, I will try and simplify this. Those of us who are faster with figures, those of us who have no problem with figures, you will bear with me, because I'll try and break this down so that it's as simple as possible, so that we all understand what is going on. This is going to be the first of a very long series of recordings I'm going to make to show actual evidence of why I keep on calling this election a fraud. Okay, this is actually the actual evidence. Now I'm going to start, for the purposes of believability, I'm going to start with figures that are already in the public domain. Yes, I'm basing this on figures which have already been released by an NGO called Kura Yangu Haki Yangu. Okay, what this NGO did is that they send people to each and every constituency during the just concluded elections, and they collected data, they collected figures, yeah? And they're just in fact, they've not even finished breaking down those figures, but yesterday, or rather a few hours ago, they released some of those figures. So those are the figures I'm going to start with, okay? Now, one of the threads that emerged in this just concluded elections, believe it or not, was that in a lot of areas, the votes cast were more than the total registered voters in those particular polling stations. Okay, and here we're going to look at actual examples of that from prisons. Okay, now on your screen now you should be able to see a graph, or rather a table, okay, which shows us that Garissa prison has 25 registered voters. Okay, but in this particular election, the number of people, total votes cast, were actually 43. You will see that in the second last column. Okay, so the percentage turnout was 172. Yani 100% plus 72, meaning, of course, that there were more votes cast than actual registered voters. Kitale prison registered voters are 7, but the votes cast against second last column were actually 9. Which meant that the voter turnout was 129%. Now, realistically speaking, a voter turnout of 80% is very high. Okay, let alone 100%, let alone 90%, let alone 95%. Okay, that is useful as we go forward. Yeah, in other recordings, not necessarily in this one. Okay. Now, Manyani prison is a very famous prison. It's very close to Voi. Yeah, if you traveled on the Nairobi-Mombasa road, it's very close to Voi. It has a total number of registered voters of 157. Okay, but in this in the election results which have been released by the IBC, or rather in the election results which have just been released, 287 people voted. Okay, so that means the turnout was 182%, more people than registered voters. Okay, Moyale prison has 6 registered voters. Again, 10 people voted. Okay, so the total percentage was 167. Now let me explain something very important here. You will be looking at these figures and I'm sure it's going through your mind, oh, these figures are very small. 5 votes here, 150 votes, very small. Okay, yes, it's true that they're small, but remember that we have over 40,000 polling stations countrywide. Okay, now for instance, if you're just to introduce even 10 votes, yeah, that's already minus the number of when you multiply by the number of polling stations, that's already 400,000 votes. Okay, 50 votes, whew, if you had an average of 50 votes, that means 10 here, 100 somewhere else, 70 somewhere else, 10 somewhere else, 5, you know, it adds up. So if you had an average of 50 votes multiplied by 40,000 polling station, you will not believe the figure. It is actually 2 million votes. Yeah, it adds up. Yes, so these small figures are not really small because they accumulate very quickly. Okay, now let me go to another example which has to do with the Form 34As and 34Bs, which Kenyans are very sick of hearing about. Okay, depending on which side of the political divide you're on. Yeah, now these are actually actual votes, an actual situation from a polling station called Ramadan Primary, which is in Isiolo North constituency. Okay, now the votes which appeared on Form 34A gave Professor Wainaina 150 votes. Okay, and that Form 34A also indicated that there was one rejected vote. Okay, now but the Form 34B, I think we all understand the difference. 34A is the form which is produced by the polling station. Okay, this Form 34A is what is used to produce the Form 34B. Okay, the presidential election results are based on the Form 34B. Yeah, they just do an addition of the 34Bs. Yeah, but you cannot make the 34B without a 34A. Okay, I think we've gotten that now. Yeah, so in that particular Isiolo North constituency, Professor Wainaina got 150 votes. Yeah, 34A is the one which is signed by all the agents of both, you know, of all the presidential candidates, signed by the returning officer, etc., etc. Yeah, very valid document. But when it came to Form 34B, the 150 votes for Professor Wainaina vanished. Okay, and those votes appeared under President Uhuru, as you can see on the graph. Okay, there were no rejected votes, but the 34B showed President Uhuru got 150 votes. Okay, this is just one example. So we have been hearing a lot from the opposition saying, oh, there's asking for Form 34As. Now you know why they're asking for the Form 34As. They're asking for Form 34As because they had already detected a lot of contradictions within the few Form 34As they saw, and they wanted to go through the entire lot, or as many of them, to be able to detect even more contradictions. Based on a lot of other Form 34Bs, it is clear, or rather it is safe to say, that the way this election was fiddled with, it was fiddled with at the Form 34B stage. Yeah, that the votes which were entered in the Form 34B, yeah, which was used to announce the elections, was not based, or rather contradicted what had come from the original Form 34As. Yeah, and this makes it very interesting that towards in the last few days you have been hearing a controversy over the media where NASA has been asking for Form 34As. The IEBC has gotten back and said they don't have all the Form 34As, and that NASA needs to wait. They're still trying to get them. I don't know from where. Yes, but then they told NASA that they have all the Form 34Bs. Okay, now this is very strange because how did they produce the Form 34Bs? Based on what, if the Form 34As are non-existent? But now you can see from an example here, you can see where the issue is. Okay, because naturally the IEBC would not want to produce a Form 34A that contradicts a Form 34B. You understand what I'm saying? So you would have to get around that. I don't know, I have no idea how they would do it. But if somebody wanted to fiddle with this hypothetical example, just a hypothetical example, if somebody wanted to make good this situation, then what they need to do is to go back and manufacture Form 34A, get the signatures, I don't know how, yeah, so that it can be able to be a valid document which you can say, yes, this was what was used to produce Form 34B. Folks, now this was how it was done. Now, of course, you have seen a lot of situations whereby people produce this kind of evidence, and then the IBC always has an excuse. Yeah, I don't know what excuse they would give for this, but I'm certain they would have some sort of statement. I'm certain they, in the next few hours they'll come up with something. Okay, but this is the true picture of the situation. Okay, I don't know what they'll be able to come up with, because these are facts. These are actual physical examples of Form 34As contradicting Form 34Bs. Now, in the days to come, I hope to get actual copies of this Form 34As, because I know people don't believe just like that, yeah, so that we can actually have them on the screen here and compare them to Form 34Bs, so that we can see the difference for ourselves. Well, we've also had quite a lot of these, or rather a few examples which have been posted online, especially in Facebook. But then you see people give the excuse, you don't believe everything you see on Facebook. Yeah, so I'm going to make a very big effort to try and get you very many examples to show you here, so that when you talk about an election that was a fraud, yeah, I'm actually now giving you documentary evidence to support what I have been saying, because I don't say things I don't use any words on this channel, or I don't say things on this channel unless I know what I'm saying. Okay, so until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.